How's it going? Welcome back to another great video with the majestic host, the Savior, yes. And oh boy, what a time to be alive. I'm so happy because Christmas has come early. I think Santa will need some serious therapy if he delivers this title to everyone across the globe because yes, the day before is finally here, it's finally being released, or that's supposed to happen at least tomorrow. So today we are going to be taking a look at the day before, literally the day before I lost my mind, the day before everyone goes absolutely insane and basically declares that they were robbed or that they were conned. I hope that doesn't happen.
I see through the lies of the Jedi.
But I'm willing to place a strong bet that this is not going to be what everyone was expecting. So if this looks like just a generic early access MMO zombie shooter to you, then you're not wrong, okay? That's pretty much what it is. But for some reason, the reason why this got so much attention is because it basically was the #1 wishlisted game on Steam, which is quite surprising. We haven't really had a good MMO zombie game since DayZ, and that game is not for everyone. Not everyone loves it, you know, because it can be rather brutal. I personally loved it back in the older days when I was a younger gamer, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. Since then, you know, my tastes have evolved, I would say. Just, you know, walking around endlessly looking for loot and shooting other players, rinse and repeat, that's the main mechanic. That does get old, and yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of that type of game anymore. But MMO games in general are just a great time because, you know, you're just playing around with strangers. It's very satisfying when you're taking out other players or forming relationships and alliances with other players and, you know, becoming a bandit gang or, you know, role-playing as like the sheriffs. That's where MMO games can be really fun, is with the role-playing aspect, and I think that's why so many people are excited for this game, and that's fair enough. But the day before got even more attention after some time because it just started to look super dodgy. So we're going to talk about all of that. I'm going to be giving you the day before review, okay, the review of the day before.
Liar!
Before the day before, okay? Yes. If that sounds complicated, then that's because it is. Because I don't think that this game is actually going to come out. I don't think it's really going to be a proper game. It's going to be a kind of, kind of hollow mess.
I see through the lies of the Jedi.
The best way you should think about this is look at games like Cyberpunk 2077. Look at games like Redfall, okay? These are made by massive studios, professionals in the industry, apparently. I don't know what the hell happened to gaming. You know, it's not all bad. I'm not here to hate all on modern day games, but some of them are good, okay? But, you know, seriously, it is kind of a joke that massive studios, you know, with so many people working on these games, and it can still end up being a complete train wreck like the original release of Cyberpunk, like Redfall. What do you think this is going to look like when it's literally made by a tiny team of independent developers? And indie games usually are great, but if you look at their track record, things just don't add up, okay? So that's why I'm giving you the day before review and just tell you exactly what this game is, what you're gonna get. Apparently some people have played early access, so I've managed to find all of the information I can. So we're going to go into it like we would do with a review, but because this game is pretty much all marketing, giving you the day before review is pretty much just looking at the marketing material, because that is all this game actually is. There has never been proper gameplay of this game, and the game itself is going to be radically different, I'm very sure, and it's just not going to be what you expected. So technically, the day before review is based on what we perceive to be the day before, the perception of this game, because in reality it's not going to be anything like that. And of course then the reviews of the actual game, what it actually is, the dark, ugly truth behind it, will come out. So is the day before worth buying? Should you buy the day before? That's what I hope to answer in today's video. And if you are new to the channel, which is quite likely, do consider subscribing. It takes only 2 seconds for you guys. Literally go down, hit the button. It takes 2 seconds, a click of the button, but it means so much to me. I put in so much work into all of my videos. If you like early game reviews, deep video essays on the games that I really love, I do a deep analytical video essay on games that I truly care about, and quick reviews of the ones that are just coming out, and videos tackling the dystopian society that we are living in, then you are in the right place. Do subscribe, become a wise boy, be a goddamn intellectual, don't be like these dum-dums, don't be the 99%, be the smart 1% and join this channel. Support me by checking out my music on Spotify. My new song just came out called Bop. It's pretty tasty, I think. And consider becoming a member or dropping a small donation on PayPal or YouTube thanks. That's how I can keep doing this. And with enough shilling, let's go. Some of the clips that they have shown literally look like two different games. They don't even look like the same game. That's why this is just hilarious to me. So let's quickly talk about what is The Day Before, why you shouldn't be overly excited about this game. So the developers have delayed this game so many times, which isn't usually uncommon, but the way that they did delay it was very fishy. There was a whole kind of Discord community drama thing where they were kind of going against their own community, or their own community was very worried about what was going on with the game, with the name and all that kind of stuff. So it's been delayed multiple times. Also, you need to look at the developer's history, okay? So they've released many smaller indie games before. This is obviously their biggest project, and they didn't expect so many eyes on them, which is understandable, so you do have to give them some slack. The weird thing about these developers is they've made games before, but they abandon them very quickly, and sometimes they look very different in the marketing, but then on release, it's not actually the same thing. It's not the same product, and they've had some very negative reviews before of their previous games, and they don't bother trying to fix their games or build up the player base. If the player base dies, which it usually does within the first couple of weeks, then they just abandon it, go on to the next game. It's also all very simplistic game design. They go for the hottest trends in gaming and try and capitalize on that, so that's the very fishy thing about them. A lot of people also noticed that maybe the gameplay that we saw, or in the trailers and stuff like that, they could have just been pre-baked animations, because some of it did look fishy. I can't say that for certain, but that is what some other people have said, so let that be known. Also, the developers love to borrow certain assets from, basically these game making kits, which doesn't exactly bode very well for the creativity. Now, I can't say, of course, that they haven't changed assets around and they are actually now unique. And something else quite suspect, and it all does point to red flags, I would say, is they released a statement very recently, actually, basically pleading to their community, saying, please don't accuse us of scamming, we aren't asset flipping, stuff like that. Basically trying to do damage control, which again just doesn't look that good. They could have just been completely transparent with what this game actually is, why they are borrowing some elements from other games, just talk openly about their inspirations, but all of this has just been very shady, and that's why a lot of people are just not sure about this game. The blatant copying of games like The Last of Us or The Division, which a lot of people have noticed, just make this look even more suspect. The way the marketing material looks the same as The Last of Us, the text, the logo, all of that stuff. Now, I'm not saying that The Day Before is guilty of any of these things, but this is what it looks like, okay? And that is the public perception. So let's quickly talk about what exactly this game really is, and the positives and the negatives. AI will slowly replace our jobs, and we have to reshape how society is basically functioning when robots and AIs can literally do everything that we can do, but better. And honestly, this game has very strong AI vibes, I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't be surprised if this game was randomly generated and made by an AI. So the first positive that looks interesting about this game, which sets it apart from other games, which I, noticed, and this is why I made this list, so to highlight actually, if it is all true, what is good and what is bad about it, what looks to be good, and that is the kind of Fallout style building mechanic. So just like in Fallout 4, in which you can customize your kind of safe areas, you can now do that in The Day Before, which looks pretty cool. Everything looks super sharp, and that's why I just can't believe it to be true. The animations that they have shown as gameplay just doesn't look like gameplay, but anyway, The building mechanic, if it's real, does look pretty cool because it adds nice customization, and that's what you need in MMO games, because I feel a lot of games are lacking that in the MMO space. And if you can actually create your own little bases and stuff like that, or even just like your own personal space, that would make it feel much more immersive. The next thing is a negative, and that is the fact that this is now early access, okay? So they've delayed it multiple times, but now they've actually gone on record to say that it will be early access because probably most of the features that they've shown off aren't actually in the game. So there you go. The next negative is the shooting and the combat itself. So I've analyzed the gameplay from the early builds to what they've shown off recently and what people actually have got their hands on. The gameplay to me doesn't look that good, okay? For an MMO zombie game, you know, which is for some reason got everyone so hyped, and I'll talk about that more at the end of the video, the gameplay doesn't look that satisfying. For a realistic immersive zombie survival game, you know, you would expect you shoot a zombie in the head and they die, okay? Here, from what I've seen, enemies are very spongy, and the animations, the AI that they're using looks to be very, very basic pathfinding and just very janky, and it does remind me of something like Redfall, so that doesn't look very promising, I've got to say. A positive here is that apparently the buildings in the city are actually explorable, so this would actually be a next-gen component to this game if it is legit, where most games, especially in MMO games like in The Division, a lot of the buildings are just, you know, you just can't go in, they're just kind of static props. But apparently in The Day Before you can actually enter the buildings and loot and stuff like that, a lot of them, so it feels much more immersive. You know, the reason why people got excited about this, I feel, is because everyone loves The Last of Us, okay? And this is marketed exactly like The Last of Us on purpose, by design, but it's with friends, but it's with multiplayer, it's with your buddies, okay? That's why everyone got excited, but this obviously isn't anything close to The Last of Us, in my opinion. The next thing is PvP. Of course, this is going to be a PvP shooter, and that would be very fun, forming your own clans. I don't know how open world the actual game is. A negative is the survival mechanics. Like in every other survival game, you've got your eat, drink, and stamina. To me, that is pretty boring. It's been played out at this point. It's just been done to death, and I wish survival games would have new interesting mechanics. Just implement, you know, something like weather effects and, you know, kind of gun maintenance, anything, just not the same standard thing that we've seen time and time again. I just don't like it. Now, another positive is if this is actually true, this is going to be a kind of extraction looter shooter like The Division, and this would mean that actually this would be a fun gameplay loop if it actually comes true, okay? If this is actually legit, which I doubt. The same with the weapon customization, it looks very good. It looks like it's borrowed elements from the Metro series games, Metro Exodus in particular, where you can customize your weapons, and it looks very detailed and immersive. And the hub area that it's shown off, if again true, and you can actually interact in many different ways, like, you know, going to the bathhouses, doing weight lifts with your friends, mini games around the hub area. That would also be good if it's actually fleshed out, but I doubt it. And the final positive is that there is no pre-order for this game, so you will not be able to waste your money. That's the best thing. That is The Day Before review on The Day Before The Day Before. Do you get it? And I'll quickly end on this. I'm not sure why so many people were excited about The Day Before. You know, if you paid attention to it, you would understand that this looks like a kind of cash grab straight away. It looks very dodgy, and just all of the red flags that were shown, you know, it would make you very cautious if you're rational and you've actually got some brain cells left in you, okay? And also, to me, this highlights a more important point about our current consumer capitalist society, okay? I've got nothing wrong with capitalism, but this kind of consume product, wait for next product, consume, that's all that you focus about. You only focus about the new thing. You know, this is the shiny new MMO like DayZ, but it's a new modern take, or it's like The Last of Us. I just hope this highlights just how easily brainwashed and manipulated you can get by social media, by these big companies or small companies. I feel like modern day gaming, more than movies, more than TV shows, more in any type of media or entertainment, they have really taken advantage of this, blurring between the lines of what is actually legit and what is fake. Because modern day gaming, if you look at the last 5 years, they have gotten away with so much BS simply because of marketing. You know, that is how you build hype, that is how you build attention, that is how you build, you know, a loyal fan base before a product has even been released. You get some crazy fanboys, you know, willing to basically die for a corporate product. To me, that is crazy. So I hope it highlights just how easily you can get, you know, manipulated, especially in today's world with people being emotionally invested in goddamn products, okay? And that's all I really have to say. Just be a wise one, subscribe, and don't fall for this shit. I'm sure tomorrow this game will release, and it's not going to be anything like they promised. So that's why I just wanted to talk about it. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.